Welcome back to KXAM Plus. I'm your host, Esmeralda Zamora, with Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon for our Nick's First Warning Weather segment. Nick, we're still not in our normal studio.
No, we're in the Studio 512 studio. Saying studio twice, but it's a nice little space up here, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's
well
very
lit,
cozy.
Lots of cool stuff on the walls and a lot of monitors. It's amazing what we're able to do with this sort of space, but kind of cozy up here.
Yeah, but we won't be up here for long.
Nope.
Next week, we should be back in our brand new studio.
Very nice. So make sure you join in next week. And that does it for Nick's First Warning.
No. Today, we're going to have a quick summer outlook. Our team went out on a boat, I believe, and discussed everything having to do with this summer, right?
Yeah, we did a big 5.5-minute special that aired last week, but I realized that we hadn't got the chance to talk about it, you and I, in this sort of format and go into a little more depth about what we're looking at and why. So I feel with just a few days left of meteorological spring, because meteorological summer begins June 1st, this Sunday.
Right around the corner.
So we should go ahead and jump on into it. So let's show you, first of all, what's happening outside right now as we enjoy a beautiful spring day here in Central Texas. We've got sunshine there, as you can see, and we expect that the skies will stay relatively bright here for some time. So what is the summer rainfall outlook? Well, you can see here in Central Texas, we're looking for near normal rainfall, but in portions of the northwestern hill country, it's actually leaning drier than normal. Just a little leaning that way. The darker the shading indicates the higher the confidence. So only tilted slightly toward the drier than normal. So it's not a guaranteed drier than normal summer, but it's just leaning that way for parts of the hill country. For the metro and our eastern counties, the odds are that will generally be near normal. It is looking wetter than normal along the eastern seaboard, and then the upper Midwest into the Pacific Northwest looking drier than normal. Perhaps some more monsoon rains, though, in portions of Arizona as we head through the summer months. And look at this.
Wow.
Every state of the lower 48 expected to have a warmer than normal summer. So warmer than normal for everyone, not just us here in Central Texas. So while we will be warmer than other places, we're all expected temperatures to be above where they should be for this upcoming season.
Nick, why are we in such warmer than normal temperatures?
Yeah, so at least here locally, we've got a few different reasons why we're expecting temperatures to be warmer than normal this summer. And part of it goes down to rainfall. The less rain we've had, the drier the soil is, the more we're able to heat up. Because if you've got a lot of moisture in the soil, then the sun's energy is spent evaporating that moisture and turning it into water vapor, and less of the sun's energy is spent heating us up. But when you've got drier soil, therefore the air a bit drier, then you generally have hotter temperatures. And so far for the month, I mean, we're doing okay, especially when you factor in last night's rain. But
Lots
we're still
of rain.
Yeah, it was nice. We had more than 2 inches in Austin yesterday, but still below normal rainfall for May. And we're almost missing a full 3 inches of rain for the year to date. So that's since January 1st. So yes, we've had some beneficial rain lately, but it's not been enough to overcome what is a rainfall deficit for the year so far. And as you can see here, the drought too.
And what is the drought looking like here in Austin?
Yeah, so it's improved a little bit in our eastern counties with some recent rain. There's actually some areas in say portions of Lampasas County and then into the east in Bastrop and Lee counties that actually are not in drought at all. Mm-hmm. They're just considered abnormally dry, which is not quite drought just yet. But just about every other part of Central Texas is in some form of drought, and you can see that drought just gets worse as you get closer to I-35 and especially west of I-35, where we have a level 4 out of 4 exceptional drought. So this goes back to the dry soil that could contribute to hotter than normal temperatures this summer. Now, this current drought monitor does not include the rains that we've had since last Tuesday, of which some areas have had several inches of rain. I wouldn't be surprised if this Thursday's drought update does show some improvements, maybe 1 or even 2 category improvements in some areas, but it won't be wiped out here with the rain that we've had this week. So we will still be entering summer June 1st with some level of drought, Esme.
Yeah, I was going to say Fredericksburg is in a 4-level drought, and they got a lot of rain last night.
They had rain. They had large hail, too, golf ball size in some areas, even some reports in a much more compact area of up to baseball size hail yesterday, and plenty of rain, too, just not the type of rain that would be drought busting. We need almost double-digit rainfall amounts in order to completely eradicate this level of drought. Statewide, areas east and north of us are in much better shape than areas to the west, and those areas will be hotter than normal too. In fact, the whole country is going to be hotter than normal, but they'll be entering the summer with a significant drought too. And then nationwide, there's a good section of the southeast that's not dealing with that much in the way of drought, but then you get into the Four Corners region, the southwestern U.S., there's much more drought there. There's some drought that continues to be an issue over the mountainous states, over the Rockies, and then in the Pacific Northwest, a little bit of drought there as well. And this does not include May. May is not done yet, but leading into May, we have had 9 months in a row of below normal rainfall for each of those months. So we're hoping we can break this streak here in May, but we need about an inch, little over an inch of rain before the end of the month if we're going to do that. It's possible. I would say the odds are probably 50-50 that we can get more than an inch of rain before the end of the month. But this just goes to show you this drought is not a short-term issue for us. It's been growing for 9 months now. And really, if you look back at the last few years, we've had less rain than we should have had too. So this is an ongoing drought that's taken years to get here. It may take years to get out of it, but certainly the rain we had yesterday helps. But the drought is a factor, and the lack of rain is a factor, one of the factors in the heat that we're expecting to be above normal this summer.
And now that you mentioned that we're going to be above normal, what is normal for this summer?
Well, I led you there a little too early. We also have a few more factors, would you believe it, that are likely to contribute to a hotter than normal summer. Now, usually in summertime, we've got a heat dome of high pressure that sets up somewhere. Mm-hmm. Does it set up right over us? Does it set up closer to the Four Corners, a little farther away from us, like it did last summer, which actually made for some lower triple-digit days than many of us were expecting? Or does it set up somewhere in the middle? And this summer, we're thinking it's going to be closer to us than it was last summer, which would mean more triple digits than last summer, but not right on top of us. So the differences are subtle, but even a little bit of a westward shift in this area of high pressure would be helpful for us, potentially opening the door up occasionally for some rounds of storms and some cooler temperatures. But it's still too close for comfort. We would like it way farther west for us to be able to see more opportunities for rain and cooler temperatures. And also climate change. Our climate continues to warm here in Central Texas as well as globally. In fact, on average, our temperature in Austin has gone up 4.7 degrees since the 1970s, as you can see from this map here from the folks over at Climate Central, which are a non-biased, nonprofit agency with the goal of being able to pass out easy to understand climate change information so that we as a media organization are able to share these graphs in ways that are easily understood. So as our climate continues to warm, that is certainly one of the several factors that give us confidence in this being a warmer than normal summer.
Yeah. Now, what is normal for summer?
That's a great question, and I'm so glad you asked. So remember, meteorological summer begins June 1st. Now, astronomical summer doesn't begin until the third week of June, but for the weather purposes, we get whole months of seasons, June, July, August, so that it's easier to compare seasons year to year rather than comparing seasons that may begin or end on different dates. So weather-wise, we look at these full 3 months as meteorological summer. And this is what average is for each of those months. 93 for the average high in June, 97 in July, and 98 in August. So August, our hottest month of the summer, but July not far behind. Rainfall-wise, June is typically still a wet month, especially the first half of June, where we can get some decent storms and rain as well as flash flooding. You and I talked about how June is actually the peak month for flash flooding here in Central Texas. But later in June and especially into July, the rain cuts off significantly. July is one of our driest months of the year, and then we start clawing our way out of the drier months and getting into August, where we get a little bit more rain. But summer, not a great month for wet weather for us. It's our second driest season. The driest season is actually winter.
Winter.
Yeah.
Because we don't get much snow here, do we?
No, we don't get much snow. We also don't get much rain in winter either. So winter, driest season, and then summer, second driest, and then spring and fall are our wettest seasons. And spring, of course, what we're in now, is our wettest season of the year.
Now, what are we looking at for our hurricane forecast?
Yeah, so the same day that we released our summer outlook last week, the National Weather Service and NOAA released their Atlantic hurricane season forecast. And in an average Atlantic hurricane season, that's the chart, the section there on the right, we get 14 named storms, 7 of which hurricanes, 3 of which are major hurricanes, which are category 3 strength or higher. So we're expecting, or they're expecting, between 13 and 19 named storms. So near to above average is the general theme here. 6 to 10 hurricanes, which would be near or above average. And then major hurricanes 3 to 5, which would be average to above average. So nothing leaning toward really being below average for the Atlantic hurricane season, but perhaps just not quite as active as the last few seasons have been. But you may be wondering, why is it expected to be an above average forecast? Well, ENSO, which stands for El Nino Southern Oscillation, that pattern can contribute to above normal Atlantic hurricane seasons or below normal Atlantic hurricane seasons. Now, typically when you have El Nino, that gives way to stronger wind shear over the Atlantic, and that leads to a below normal Atlantic hurricane season. But because we don't have El Nino, even though we're ENSO neutral, so ENSO neutral or La Nina typically give way to above average seasons, and El Nino gives way to below average seasons. So we don't have El Nino, which would create the wind shear that would tear up storms. So that's one of the factors leading to an above average forecast. Also, warmer than normal sea surface temperatures across much but not all of the Atlantic, although we are seeing quite a bit above normal sea surface temperatures in the Gulf and also the Caribbean, and then the potential for an active West African monsoon. So a lot of different factors here potentially suggesting at least a little bit of an above average Atlantic hurricane season. But one of the things that we often talk about when it comes to these seasons here, and again, I'll pop the numbers back on the screen before we wrap up, is that it just takes one storm. You could have a very quiet season or a season where all the storms are out to the ocean and they don't impact any land at all, let's say. But one storm, one major storm or one slow-moving storm moves inland and it causes significant flooding, storm surge, wind damage, and that storm will be the thing that people think about for the season. And in people's minds, they will think, oh wow, it was a really busy hurricane season. Remember that one storm that did all the destruction. Yeah. And yet you can have very busy seasons where you have way more storms than normal, but if they don't make landfall at a high intensity or with a lot of rain or big storm surge or strong wind, then people won't think of it as that much of an active season. Even if you had a lot of storms, it's all about what those one storm do. Exactly. Yep. So, and that goes true with our forecast for summer as well. If we were to get a storm to come in off the Gulf of Mexico in the summer or into the fall, and that brings us significant rain, let's say, that would help to bring cooler temperatures our way for the summer or the fall because the ground would be wetter. It's such a wild card figuring out whether we would get a storm to come in off the Gulf or whether they would miss us or we would be on the dry side of the storm potentially and then end up with higher fire danger, drying the soils out and that sort of thing. So the tropics are the wild card. A busy season or a quiet season, all it takes is one storm to be a memorable one. So we've always got to be ready for that potential one storm And our biggest concern here in Central Texas from a tropical perspective is inland flooding.
Flash flooding.
Yeah, and we are in flash flood alley. We had some concern for flash flooding last night, and certainly something to think about as we head through this summer from the tropics perspective and also from just regular thunderstorms.
Yes, of course. And I was here last night, so I know how to get the information as to where we can hear if there's a tornado warning or flash flooding watch.
Yeah.
But where can everyone else get that information?
Yeah, so our KXAN weather app, it's got some great sections on it where you can actually pick which notifications you want to be alerted to or not, or if you don't want to get alerts for lightning, but you do for tornado warnings, that sort of thing, because you don't want it buzzing all the time.
All night.
You can make those adjustments. We would recommend high intensity severe thunderstorm warnings, flash flood warnings, and tornado warnings at a minimum. You get those notifications because you want to be alerted to those in the middle of the night because it may require you to actually act and get out of bed and head into a safer place. Some of those other alerts like lightning may be something that you can turn on or off depending on whether your activities are going to be outside or whether you want to be alerted about how close lightning is to you. Rain as well. Heavy rain nearby could be a helpful thing, or maybe it's too much of a notification for you. But the options are in your hands. So
They're
it's sort of
all
up to
there
you,
for you.
To make up your mind there.
And we did have a lot of those take shelter notifications last night, right?
Yeah, we had several tornado warnings in parts of the hill country and even into portions of Hays County. And those would be the types of alerts that you shelter away from windows, lowest level of your home.
Yep.
Even some higher end severe thunderstorms with 70, 80 mile per hour winds is the type that you almost act like it's a tornado because you don't want to be next to the windows for that.
Yep. Well, that is on our app, KXAN Weather, right?
Yeah, our KXAN Weather app. And by the way, if you're wanting to watch our 5.5 minute summer outlook from a boat on Lake Travis, actually, we all really enjoyed making it.
With every meteorologist.
Yes, the only thing we were missing is Jim, but he let us borrow his boat.
He was there.
He was there in spirit.
His boat was there.
And so that's on KXAN.com under the weather and traffic section. Just look for the first warning 2025 summer outlook. And in that same article, you can scroll down and see what our triple digit predictions are from the whole weather team. What we're going compared to average. Average is about 29 triple-digit days every year.
And I heard you were over 40.
I had 40. Jim was 41. Some were in the 50s range. So we're all expecting it to be an above-average triple-digit year here in Central Texas, and we've already had 2 in the month of May.
Yes,
Only one May has had more than 2, and that was back in 2011, which was the hottest. Which was followed by the hottest summer ever. So I encourage you to check out that article if you haven't yet, and also watch the video of us on a boat talking about summer. It's kind of fun.
Very fun. Yeah. Well, Nick, this is all we have for our KXAN Plus show. This will be on our CTV programming apps on Roku, Fire Stick, and Amazon, I believe. Amazon or Apple TV. You can also catch us online, kxan.com, and you can find us on the homepage. Thanks for joining us.